The alien gangsters, towering and intimidating, exuded arrogance in every movement. Their voices were sharp and condescending, carrying a tone that dismissed the human thug as insignificant. Their advanced technology gleamed with superiority, reflecting their belief in their own dominance. They laughed among themselves, their remarks laced with mockery and disdain. Their attention quickly focused on the peculiar pet he carried, a small reptile in a simple cage, seemingly mundane and unworthy of notice. The leader of the group, an alien with an aura of authority, gestured toward the thug. His voice was loud, his words carefully chosen to provoke. The rest of the gang joined in, their laughter echoing across the space. They spoke in a mix of languages, but the mocking tone needed no translation. They questioned the thug's choice of companion, ridiculing his reliance on something so unimpressive. Their sneers were unrelenting, their insults biting. Each alien added to the growing humiliation, competing to deliver the sharpest jab. They referenced their own achievements, their superior physiology, and their unmatched intellect, contrasting them with the human's apparent mediocrity. One of them leaned closer, feigning interest in the reptile, only to recoil with exaggerated disgust. Their expressions ranged from contempt to exaggerated amusement as they circled the thug, prodding him with their words. Through all this, the thug remained silent. His calm demeanor was unsettling, though the gangsters mistook it for fear or submission. He stood firm, his grip on the cage steady. The reptile inside stirred slightly, its movements subtle but deliberate, as if aware of the growing tension. This only fueled the gangsters' ridicule, their comments growing louder and more vicious. The gangsters' arrogance was palpable. They spoke of their technological conquests, their species' vast knowledge, and their reputation for dominance. To them, the thug and his reptile were nothing more than a joke, a spectacle to entertain their egos. They reveled in their perceived superiority, taking pleasure in belittling someone they deemed unworthy of respect. Their mockery reached a crescendo, with exaggerated gestures and theatrical laughter. They took turns taunting the thug, confident in their belief that he was powerless against them. Their leader stepped forward, delivering a final, scathing remark that drew cheers and applause from the group. It was clear they had no intention of stopping, their arrogance blinding them to any possibility beyond their own perspective. Yet, despite their efforts, the thug's silence persisted. His calmness was unshaken, his expression unreadable. There was no sign of fear, no attempt to retaliate or defend himself. The gangsters, caught up in their performance, failed to notice the subtle shifts in the atmosphere. The reptile's quiet movements and the thug's unwavering confidence remained overlooked, drowned out by their own voices. Their laughter filled the air, their mockery relentless. They continued to flaunt their dominance, certain that they had won this unspoken confrontation. But beneath their arrogance lay a growing unease, faint and unacknowledged. For all their bluster, they could not provoke a reaction from the thug. Their insults, sharp and cutting, seemed to bounce off him like waves against a rock. The gangsters' mockery defined the moment, their arrogance the driving force behind their actions. They failed to recognize the complexity of the situation, blinded by their own assumptions. Their ridicule was relentless, their confidence unshakable. Yet, beneath their outward bravado, cracks began to form, subtle, almost imperceptible, but there nonetheless. The focus shifted entirely to the reptile as it began to display subtle but deliberate movements. Its scales shimmered faintly, catching light in a way that seemed almost unnatural. The gangsters, who had been consumed with their ridicule, hesitated for the briefest moment. They exchanged glances, their mocking expressions faltering as curiosity started to creep in. The reptile's quiet presence was no longer so easily dismissed. What had been the subject of laughter was now beginning to command attention. The reptile's transformation was gradual but undeniable. A faint glow began to radiate from its body, growing brighter with every passing second. The patterns on its scales shifted, forming intricate designs that seemed to pulsate with energy. Its movements became fluid and purposeful, and a low, rhythmic hum filled the air. The sound was both unsettling and mesmerizing, carrying an almost hypnotic quality. The gangsters, who had moments ago been so confident, now stood in stunned silence. What followed was unlike anything the gangsters had ever encountered. The reptile's size increased noticeably, its body expanding as it emanated an aura of power. Its previously unassuming features took on a more commanding presence. The glow intensified, illuminating the area with a brilliant light that seemed to defy natural explanation. The air around it seemed to ripple, as though bending under the force of its energy. Each movement it made was deliberate, almost calculated, exuding an undeniable sense of control. The gangsters' disbelief was evident as their initial mockery turned into quiet apprehension. Their confidence, once so unshakable, began to crumble. The reptile's transformation was a direct challenge to their assumptions, shattering the illusion of their superiority. They exchanged hurried whispers, their voices filled with uncertainty. Some took cautious steps backward, their postures no longer those of dominance but of hesitation. It was clear that they no longer viewed the reptile as a mere pet. The energy radiating from the reptile was palpable, a force that seemed to fill the air with tension. It was not aggressive but commanding, demanding respect without needing to assert it. The gangsters, for all their advanced technology and supposed dominance, found themselves unable to look away. They were captivated, not by fear alone, but by something deeper, a recognition of the extraordinary. The glow from the reptile's scales bathed them in light, casting their expressions in stark relief. What had once been smugness was now replaced by awe. The reptile's display was a masterful demonstration of its power. Its glowing patterns pulsed rhythmically, almost as though they were alive. The hum it emitted grew louder, reverberating through the surroundings with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. It moved with a grace that was both alien and majestic, each step deliberate and purposeful. The gangsters, for all their bravado, were reduced to silent spectators. Their earlier confidence seemed almost laughable in the face of what they were witnessing. Every aspect of the reptile's transformation challenged the gangsters' assumptions. Its size, its glow, its movements, each element defied their understanding of what a creature like this should be. They had dismissed it as insignificant, an unworthy object of attention. Now, it stood before them as something far beyond their comprehension. Their arrogance had blinded them to its potential, and now they were forced to confront the reality of their mistake. The reptile's presence dominated the moment, a silent but undeniable assertion of its power. It needed no aggression, no display of force beyond its transformation. Its very existence was enough to command respect, to demand recognition. The gangsters, once so vocal in their mockery, were now silent. Their expressions betrayed their inner turmoil, a mixture of awe, confusion, and growing fear. They had underestimated both the reptile and its owner, and now they were paying the price for their hubris. Their reaction was a testament to the reptile's power. What had begun as amusement had turned into unease, then into outright shock. The gangsters, who had prided themselves on their dominance, now found themselves on uncertain ground. They were no longer the ones in control, their confidence shattered by a creature they had dismissed as inconsequential. Each moment of silence spoke volumes, a stark contrast to their earlier laughter and mockery. The reptile's transformation continued, its glow intensifying until it seemed to fill the entire space. The gangsters were transfixed, unable to tear their eyes away. For all their technology and arrogance, they were powerless in the face of this creature's presence. It was a humbling experience, a moment that forced them to confront their own limitations. Their earlier mockery now seemed foolish, their arrogance misplaced. The reptile, in its quiet power, had turned the tables entirely. The balance of power had shifted, and the gangsters knew it. Their earlier confidence had been replaced by an uneasy respect, a recognition of the reptile's capabilities. They stood frozen, their expressions a mix of awe and fear. The glow of the reptile bathed them in light, casting their features in stark relief. They had been so certain of their superiority, so quick to mock and belittle. Now, they were forced to confront the reality of their mistake. The reptile, in its silent transformation, had proven them wrong. The atmosphere shifted entirely, with the human thug now in control of the unfolding events. His demeanor remained calm, but his authority was undeniable. The reptile, transformed and commanding, had tilted the balance of power irreversibly. The alien gangsters, once overconfident and mocking, found themselves in an entirely different position. Their arrogance had been replaced by visible unease, a mixture of confusion and fear as they tried to make sense of the situation. The thugs' control over the reptile was evident, a partnership built on understanding rather than domination. This bond made the reptile's power even more imposing, as it responded seamlessly to subtle cues from its owner. The gangsters, though technologically advanced, had no frame of reference for the level of control and cooperation they were witnessing. Their advanced weaponry and gadgets, so often a source of their dominance, now seemed irrelevant against a force they could neither predict nor counter. The gangsters' initial reaction was one of retreat, their confidence shaken to the core. Their postures, once proud and confrontational, shifted to defensive and uncertain. They avoided direct confrontation, their movements betraying their internal struggle. They had encountered countless adversaries, but this was unlike anything they had faced before. Their attempts to recalibrate their approach were awkward, driven more by instinct than by strategy. Their desperation became increasingly apparent as they scrambled to regain their footing. Whispered conversations and hurried glances betrayed their growing uncertainty. Some appeared to consider fleeing, while others seemed determined to salvage their pride, albeit without a clear plan. The tension was palpable, each moment adding to the weight of their miscalculation. Their earlier confidence in their superiority now seemed like a distant memory, replaced by a growing realization of their vulnerability. Efforts to negotiate began to surface, subtle at first but increasingly overt as the gangsters recognized the futility of confrontation. Their leader, who had been the most vocal in his mockery, now attempted a more measured tone. His arrogance, though still present, was tempered by a need to de-escalate the situation. The gangsters, as a group, displayed a mix of bravado and hesitance, their earlier unity fractured by their shifting priorities. The human thug's silence throughout this was a powerful statement. He offered no explanation, no justification for the reptile's transformation. His control over the situation was absolute, his authority unquestionable. The gangsters, despite their numbers and their technology, were entirely at his mercy. This dynamic was a stark reversal of their initial interaction, highlighting the depth of their misjudgment. As the gangsters' desperation grew, their actions became increasingly erratic. Some attempted to assert themselves, relying on their reputation and past successes to bolster their confidence. Others began to retreat, their fear overriding their loyalty to the group. The reptile's presence loomed large, its energy dominating the space and leaving no room for doubt about its capabilities. The gangsters' fragmented responses only served to underscore their loss of control. The thugs' measured response to their attempts at negotiation was as calculated as it was effective. He remained calm and unyielding, allowing the gangsters' own uncertainty to do the work for him. Their leader's attempts to regain control of the situation were met with indifference, further eroding his authority. The gangsters, for all their bravado, found themselves with no leverage, no advantage to exploit. The reptile's transformation had not only shifted the power dynamic but also reshaped the gangsters' perception of their own capabilities. They had relied on their reputation and their technology to maintain their dominance, but those tools were useless in this new context. The reptile's presence, combined with the thugs' quiet confidence, had exposed the limits of their power. Their arrogance had blinded them to the possibility of defeat, and now they were forced to confront the reality of their situation. The gangsters' departure, when it finally came, was a fragmented and disorganized retreat. Their once coordinated group dynamic had dissolved entirely, replaced by individual attempts to save face. Some left quietly, avoiding eye contact and hoping to escape unnoticed. Others attempted to salvage their pride with parting remarks, though their voices lacked conviction. The leader, who had been the most vocal in his initial mockery, was among the last to leave. His hesitation spoke volumes about his internal conflict, torn between his need to maintain his authority and his recognition of the futility of further confrontation. The thug's silence throughout their departure was as impactful as his initial response. He made no effort to chase them away, no attempt to assert his dominance further. His calm demeanor spoke of confidence and control, a quiet assertion of his victory. The gangsters, for all their bluster and bravado, left with their egos bruised and their assumptions shattered. Their departure was not just a retreat but a recognition of their failure to understand the true nature of the situation. The shift in power was undeniable, and its implications were far-reaching. The gangsters' defeat was not just a loss for them but a challenge to the status quo they had worked so hard to maintain. Their reputation, once unassailable, had been irrevocably damaged. The thug, with his unassuming Reptile, had exposed their vulnerabilities in a way that no amount of technological superiority could overcome. Their departure left a void, a space that the thug now occupied with an unspoken authority. The Reptile's role in this transformation was as significant as the thug's own actions. Its presence had redefined the dynamic, shifting the gangsters' perception of power and forcing them to confront their own limitations. It was not just a display of strength but a demonstration of the importance of understanding and respect. The gangsters, for all their arrogance, had failed to see the potential in what they had dismissed, and it had cost them dearly. The thug's victory was not one of brute force but of quiet confidence and understanding. His bond with the Reptile, built on mutual trust and respect, had proven more powerful than the gangsters' technology and bravado. The Reptile's transformation was a testament to the depth of that bond, a demonstration of the strength that comes from true partnership. The gangsters, for all their efforts, were unable to overcome the combination of the thug's calm control and the Reptile's undeniable power. As the gangsters disappeared from sight, the thug remained as he had been from the start, calm, composed, and in control. The Reptile, its transformation complete, returned to a state of quiet power, its energy a reminder of the events that had just unfolded. The gangsters' defeat was total, not just in their physical retreat but in the shattering of their assumptions and their understanding of power. The thug and his Reptile had not just won the confrontation but had redefined the rules of engagement, leaving an indelible mark on all who had witnessed the events. The Reptile's enigmatic nature stemmed from its origins, which were shrouded in mystery and intrigue. It was no ordinary creature, its traits hinting at an extraordinary lineage. Its intricate scales, glowing patterns, and profound presence suggested a connection to forces far beyond human understanding. The Reptile's abilities, so unlike anything seen before, pointed to origins rooted in dimensions or realms that defied conventional logic. Its existence alone posed questions about the boundaries of known biology and energy, making it a living enigma. The bond between the thug and the Reptile had been forged over time, built on trust and mutual respect. It was not the result of dominance or force, but of a deep understanding cultivated through shared experiences. This relationship was pivotal in shaping the Reptile's abilities, as it seemed to respond to the thug's calm demeanor and silent commands. Their connection went beyond the physical, manifesting as an unspoken partnership where each understood the other's intent. This bond was the foundation of the Reptile's control over its remarkable powers, allowing it to harness and direct its energy with precision. The Reptile's abilities were unlike anything the gangsters or even the thug himself could have fully anticipated. Its glow, its size, and its unique energy suggested a mastery of forces that transcended the physical realm. These powers were not merely a product of evolution but appeared deliberate, as though designed for a purpose. The patterns on its body seemed to shift in response to its surroundings, adapting and recalibrating to suit the situation. It was as though the Reptile was not just a creature but a vessel for an energy or intelligence far beyond human comprehension. The thug's understanding of the Reptile was grounded in experience rather than knowledge. He may not have known the specifics of its origins or the full extent of its powers, but he had learned to trust its instincts and abilities. This trust was evident in the way he carried himself, never questioning the Reptile's responses or doubting its potential. Over time, this symbiotic relationship had developed into a seamless partnership, with the thug providing guidance and the Reptile offering unmatched strength. Together they were more than the sum of their parts, a fusion of human intuition and extraordinary capability. The Reptile's existence raised questions about the nature of power and dominance. Its abilities were not born of aggression but of quiet strength, a contrast to the gangsters' reliance on technology and intimidation. The Reptile's transformation was not an act of violence but of assertion, a demonstration of its potential without unnecessary force. This shift in perspective was profound, challenging the traditional notions of power that the gangsters had clung to. The reptile's presence was a reminder that strength could be silent, and dominance could be achieved without destruction. Its connection to the thug was a testament to the importance of mutual respect in any partnership. The thug had not sought to control or exploit the reptile but had instead worked to understand and support it. This approach had allowed the reptile to reach its full potential, unburdened by fear or coercion. The result was a partnership that was both unique and unparalleled, a rare example of harmony between two vastly different beings. This relationship was the key to their success, as it allowed them to face challenges together with unwavering confidence. The reptile's powers hinted at a larger purpose, one that transcended the immediate events. Its transformation and abilities seemed too deliberate to be coincidental, suggesting a role far greater than merely a companion to the thug. It was as though the reptile was a guardian or emissary, its presence meant to challenge perceptions and expand understanding. Its existence was a reminder of the unknown, a symbol of the limitless possibilities that lay beyond the boundaries of human knowledge. It was not just a creature but a catalyst, a force that had the power to alter the course of events in profound ways. The gangsters' reaction to the reptile was indicative of their limited understanding of power. They had viewed strength through a narrow lens, equating it with force and intimidation. The reptile's abilities forced them to reconsider this perspective, exposing the flaws in their approach. It was a humbling experience, a confrontation with their own limitations that left them questioning their assumptions. The reptile's transformation was not just a display of power but a lesson in humility, a reminder that true strength often lies in the unexpected. The reptile's transformation was as much about its own journey as it was about its impact on those around it. Its abilities were not static but dynamic, evolving in response to its environment and the challenges it faced. This adaptability was a defining feature, allowing it to navigate situations with precision and purpose. Its glowing patterns, its energy, and its movements all worked in harmony, creating a presence that was both awe-inspiring and unsettling. It was a creature of balance, its power tempered by its intelligence and control. The thug's role in the reptile's journey was pivotal, as he provided the stability and support it needed to thrive. His calm demeanor and unwavering trust allowed the reptile to explore its potential without fear or hesitation. This partnership was a rare and valuable dynamic, one that highlighted the importance of mutual respect and understanding. Together, they had created a bond that was both unique and powerful, a testament to the strength that can be found in unity. The reptile's abilities and the thug's guidance created a synergy that was impossible to ignore. Their partnership was a living example of the potential that lies in collaboration, a reminder that strength is not always about individual power but about the ability to work together toward a common goal. This dynamic was a stark contrast to the gangsters' fractured and hierarchical approach, which ultimately proved to be their downfall. The thug and the reptile had shown that true power lies not in domination but in connection. The reptile's presence and its abilities were a challenge to the status quo, a disruption of the established order that forced those around it to reconsider their assumptions. Its transformation was a reminder of the unknown, a force that defied categorization and resisted control. It was a symbol of possibility, a living example of what can happen when boundaries are pushed and limits are questioned. Its existence was a call to explore, to seek out the extraordinary in the ordinary, and to embrace the potential of the unknown. The reptile's transformation and its impact left an indelible mark on everyone who had witnessed it. Its presence redefined the understanding of power, respect, and the unpredictable nature of what is considered strength. The events surrounding it were not just a testament to its abilities but a reflection of how assumptions and arrogance could lead to misjudgment. The encounter became a moment of reckoning for those involved, reshaping perspectives and altering dynamics in profound ways. The ripple effects of this moment would extend far beyond the immediate confrontation, leaving a legacy of change. The thug's role in this unfolding narrative was as significant as the reptile's abilities. His calm, measured demeanor and unwavering confidence demonstrated a level of composure that was as powerful as the reptile's transformation. His understanding of the reptile, his respect for its nature, and his ability to remain grounded in the face of adversity allowed him to navigate the situation with precision. He did not seek to assert dominance through force but allowed the reptile's presence and abilities to speak for themselves. This approach, rooted in mutual respect and trust, was what ultimately defined the outcome. The gangsters' retreat marked more than just a tactical withdrawal, it signaled the collapse of their perceived superiority. Their arrogance, built on technological advancements and an inflated sense of dominance, had blinded them to the potential of what they had dismissed. Their defeat was not only physical but psychological, forcing them to confront their own limitations. They had been so focused on asserting control that they failed to recognize the quiet strength of their adversary. This humbling experience shattered their confidence, leaving them with a newfound awareness of their vulnerabilities. The reptile's transformation was more than a display of power, it was a statement about the nature of strength and resilience. Its abilities were not rooted in aggression but in a balanced combination of control and precision. The reptile did not act out of malice or fear but out of an innate understanding of its own capabilities. This was a stark contrast to the gangster's approach, which relied on intimidation and brute force. The reptile's presence challenged these conventional notions, offering a new perspective on what it means to be powerful. The legacy of this encounter extended beyond the immediate participants. The reptile's abilities and the thug's composed response became a symbol of the potential that lies in unity and understanding. This partnership, built on mutual respect, highlighted the importance of working together toward a common goal. It demonstrated that strength is not always about individual power but about the ability to adapt, collaborate, and harness potential in unexpected ways. This dynamic served as a reminder that true resilience often lies in the bonds we form and the trust we build. The events also served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of underestimating others. The gangsters' downfall was rooted in their inability to see beyond their own assumptions and prejudices. Their reliance on superficial markers of strength, such as technology and intimidation, left them unprepared for the complexity of the situation. The reptile's transformation exposed the flaws in their thinking, forcing them to reevaluate their approach. This was not just a defeat, but a lesson in humility, a reminder of the importance of remaining open to the unknown. The thug and the reptile, through their actions, reshaped the dynamics of power and respect in a way that would resonate far beyond the immediate events. Their partnership became a testament to the strength that can be found in mutual understanding and trust. The reptile's abilities, though extraordinary, were not what defined their success. It was the connection they shared and the way they complemented each other's strengths. This balance was what allowed them to navigate the challenges they faced and emerge victorious. The implications of this encounter extended into the broader context of how power is perceived and wielded. The reptile's presence challenged the established hierarchies and norms that had governed the gangsters' actions. It demonstrated that true strength is not about dominance but about understanding and balance. This shift in perspective had the potential to influence not just those directly involved but anyone who heard of the events. The encounter became a story of transformation, a narrative that questioned conventional wisdom and inspired new ways of thinking about power and resilience. The reptile's transformation and its impact also raised questions about the nature of its abilities and their potential applications. Its glow, its energy, and its adaptability suggested a level of intelligence and purpose that went beyond mere survival. These traits hinted at a larger role, one that extended beyond the immediate events. The reptile's presence was not just a momentary display of power but a glimpse into a deeper, more complex reality. It became a symbol of possibility, a reminder of the unknown forces that exist beyond human understanding. The thug's quiet confidence and the reptile's commanding presence became a narrative of triumph over arrogance and assumptions. Together, they demonstrated that resilience and strength are not about outward appearances or aggressive displays but about the ability to adapt and thrive in the face of adversity. Their partnership, built on mutual respect and understanding, was a testament to the power of unity and collaboration. This was a victory not just over the gangsters but over the limitations of traditional notions of power. The encounter left an undeniable impact on those who witnessed it, serving as a reminder of the importance of humility and openness to the unexpected. It challenged the idea that power is rooted in dominance and aggression, offering a new perspective on what it means to be strong. The reptile and the thug, through their actions, redefined the dynamics of the situation and left a lasting impression that would resonate far beyond the immediate events. Their story became a symbol of transformation, resilience, and the limitless potential of the unknown.